Hello, welcome back to another episode of E-Training Guides. Today we're going to be talking about creating automatic deployment rules. I've had a subscriber ask for a video on how to do this for Microsoft Edge. Now I've done an automatic deployment rules for endpoint protection. So if you want to see how I created that, I'll link that video in the description below. So today we're just going to go over how to create this for Microsoft Edge and then what that looks like. So with that, let's get started. So I'm going to bring over SCCM. As you can see, as you can see, all of the Microsoft Edge updates are located under Microsoft Edge Management, and you'll see all the updates. Now, when you create an automatic deployment rule, I'll just show you how you create that. Now, Microsoft Edge will support Windows 7, 2008 R2, Windows 10, Windows 2016, and Windows 2019. Now, Windows Edge will no longer support Windows 7 and Windows 2008 R2 Server July of 2021. So you'll have some time before you have to maybe upgrade those OSs to get Edge updates for those operating systems for Windows 7 and Windows 2008 R2. So keep that in mind. So with that, we're going to go ahead and do an automatic deployment rule for Microsoft Edge. So what you want to do is come into automatic deployment rule. So you can see I created one for the definition updates, and you can see it was a success, and it was last run on 9/5. Now the way I created this one, if you go to properties, I did add to an existing software update group, which is fine. Just keep in mind that, the difference between these two, as you add them to the existing software update group, that package gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so over time, I think you can only have up to 1,000 updates in a single SUG. So keep that in mind. Now you can create a separate one, a new one each time. So that way you can monitor and manage the deployment monthly, because these updates are released every month. So it depends on how you want to manage the SUG and how you want to manage these deployments. So either way, you could use however you want to use it. But for the definition updates, I decided to use existing software update group instead of creating a new one each time. And then I said automatically deploy all software updates found by this rule and approved by license agreements. So I did that one. And then of course you add I put the System Center or the Defender and create updates for definition updates. And of course you want to run in a schedule. Now the schedule, you want to run this after you do the synchronization with WSUS. So you want to make sure that this rule does run after that. So just keep that in mind. So you can do don't do it automatically, or you can run it on schedule. So I have it run on the schedule, but I make sure that my schedule is the day after the patch Tuesday when you do the WSUS sync with SCCM. And that's basically it. And then for the deployment settings, for the endpoint definition updates, enable deployment rule after the rule is run. So as soon as I run the rule, it will start the deployment automatically. And then only error messages, and then of course as soon as a specific time, like if I want to do every hour, as soon as possible, or if you want to do a specific time, you can do that. And then user experience, if you have a maintenance window in your environment, I just try to do it, run this outside of the maintenance window, so at least the updates can get installed on the machine. So that's basically how I did the definition update. So we're going to do this for the Microsoft Edge. So what you want to do is come in here and you go create automatic deployment rule. You want to give it a name. So we're just going to call it Microsoft Edge updates. And then you want to, you can do, like I said, you can do patch Tuesday. These are your options. You can, like I said, the other one was based on antivirus or actually definition update. So I'm going to do patch Tuesday. And then the collection, so you want to pick a collection. So I'm just going to use Windows 10 because that's where I have Edge installed. So I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm just going to pick Windows 10. So I'm going to create a new software update group for the Edge because there hasn't been one created yet. So I'm going to create a new one for this. Enable deployment after the rule has run. So you want to select that. And then only error messages. And you want to select automatically deploy all software updates found by this rule and approve any license agreement. So you want to select that one. And so date release. And then product. And superseded, and you want to do so you want to click on edit. So you want to scroll down to where it says Microsoft Edge, and there you go, Microsoft Edge. Select Microsoft Edge. And then no for superseded. We also want to do all right, so we have date release. I put the last 10 months so we can grab everything, and then of course Microsoft Edge required is 1, supersede no, and then grab all of the critical updates, security updates, upgrades, just to capture all of them. And then when you select all of the, criteria, you put preview, and it'll show you the one edge that's required. Again, there's the required, and so it'll just grab all the required updates. So we just do that. Run the rule. Occurs every 30 days. You can customize this, so I'm going to change it to 1 day. Starting today. Again, you can set up this schedule any time you like, depending on what. Just make sure that it runs after you do your WSUS synchronization. So I'm going to do next, and do client local time as soon as possible. We'll just do 1 hour so you can kind of see what this looks like. And then of course, installation deadline, we'll just do 1 day as well, just so you can see what happens. Okay, and then of course we'll do show restarts, and then you can suppress the restart on servers if you want to. Like if this requires a restart, you can suppress it so that it doesn't force the restart on your servers. But again, I'm only showing you how I'm doing this on the Windows 10, but you can do this for all of your operating systems, all of the machines that have Edge installed, whether it be on a workstation or server. So again, you can suppress the restart on the server, so you can go manually do that, or you can set up a maintenance window, and then the servers get rebooted during the maintenance window. So I'm just kind of showing you the process of how to set this up. So this is what I'm going to do on this one. Next, and then I don't want to generate any config manager alerts because we don't have config manager connected, so I'm just going to uncheck that. So I'm going to create a new deployment package. I'm going to call it Edge updates, and then of course I'm going to go create a folder, just kind of like you normally do with the come on, work with me here. There we go. So now we're going to go to Edge updates. There we go. Edge updates. Keep it simple. And then we're going to select a distribution point. Or you can select a distribution point group depending on how many DPs you have out there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and download Windows updates. We'll have to select that. Okay, there we go. Next. So, and there's your second rule. It's called Microsoft Edge updates. Microsoft Edge updates. And then for evaluation, if you want, you can run the rule after any software update point synchronization. So you can select this so that it will run the next time it does a WSUS. or you can just run it as a schedule. Just make sure that when you run the schedule that it runs after the Microsoft schedule. So again, you probably don't want to select this, but these are your two options, so it's up to you and your environment. And again, this is a lab, so I'm just going to do it in a schedule because I know when the software update synchronization has completed. So, but again, you can just select this, and then that way the rule will run the next time it does the software automatically without you having to come in here and run the rule. But I'm going to do it this way. Now the log file that you look for is different. It's going to be the rule engine log, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's go check it out. So now, all right, so on the, for example, on the, so you can see what that looks like, and then we're going to run the rule for Microsoft Edge, and you'll see, let me go ahead and open up Edge here. Edge is installed on Windows 10. See, in my help about Microsoft Edge, my current version is 8.81.0416.58. So again, it's out of date. So we're going to go ahead and run the rule. Okay, so now we're going to run this. Okay, run now. So when it runs, what will happen is the last evaluation time will change to today's date. So there's a log file that you can look at to check the deployment status. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so after a few minutes, you'll notice in here under monitoring, deployments, and you'll see right here, Microsoft Edge, Windows 10 computers available. And you'll see that was, again, you have to wait, give it about 15 minutes or so, and you'll start to see the Edge. And then also the log file you want to look at is called Rule Engine. And here's, it'll tell you exactly what's happening. And you'll see that it executed this on time. And again, there's a 15-minute, so it's sleeping for 15 minutes. So we're going to check that in a little bit here. As you can see, from the automatic deployment rules, you'll see the name, and you'll see the success, and you'll see the date when it was last evaluated, so that's good. And then when you look at the rule engine, this is on the primary site server that you run, that is where the log file is located. And there it is. And again, we're still waiting for the next, it tells you exactly what's happening here. And so far, there's no issues. So we're just kind of waiting for, again, it's a little different than, and again, this is something else. So there's the Windows 10. See, it's called, this is what it called it. Okay? Because I told it to create a new one. So each time this rule runs, it'll create a new deployment package and a new deployment. So you might want to go back in there if you want to use existing deployment package, you can. And as you can see, when you go into the deployment package, you'll see Microsoft Edge updates. Actually, it's right here, Edge updates 9.5. So basically each time it's going to create a new package. Now, I can probably go back into that rule and, you know, after this is done, go back and change it to use existing packages if I want to, or create a new one. So it's really up to you how you want to manage those deployments and how to manage those packages. So it's up to you. Like I said, there's no wrong or right way, really. It's just dependent on, you know, how much time you want to spend managing these packages. So again, we're just waiting for that to get over to our Windows 10 box, and we'll be right over there in just a second. Okay, after giving it some time, we're going to take a look at the summarization. Just to kind of monitor. As you can see, it's in progress now, and it's downloaded. So you can see it's Windows 10. So it'll take a little bit of extra time, but it's probably because of the schedule, the way I set it. So that's okay. So I'm going to bring the Windows 10 over here. As you can see, on the other side. Now again, it's going to automatically run this rule. I don't have to do anything, but I just wanted to show you how it looks on the other side. So when you go in the Software Center, you'll see that Microsoft Edge is there, and it's scheduled to install at after 9/6 at 3 p.m. I just put the schedule ahead of time. So when this time occurs, it'll actually automatically install Edge. I don't think Edge requires a restart, but if it does, it'll say pending restart or something like that. Again, this is a lab environment, so you'll probably want to handle those restarts depending on your environment and your rules there, what your requirements are for the restart. Whether you want any, like the workstations, they just go. But if you on a server, you probably want to, schedule some sort of time when this occurs so that there's no interruption. Again, that's basically it. So let's go over this in a nutshell, and then I can just come in here and install and just update it if I wanted to right now. So let's just do that and just pretend that it's the time it'll actually go. And so when you look at Edge right now, my version currently is 8.1, so it's now going to get updated to 8.4. And each time that rule runs, it'll grab the latest update, the latest patch after the synchronization from WSUS. So again, you can check that box, and I'll recap all this in just a moment. So it's going to install, and it usually takes a few minutes to install Edge. So I'm just kind of showing you what this looks like. You can also, on the client side, you can monitor the logs, like the update store log, the update deployment logs, and the UA handler logs to kind of see how things are going from the client side if you end up with some issues. So we're going to find out if this is actually pending a restart. Nope, this doesn't require restarts. Otherwise, it would have restarted. It would have pumped for a pending restart. So this is fine. So again, I go into Microsoft Edge, and I go into Settings, and go to Help About Microsoft Edge, and there you go, 84. And you can see I'm managing the updates. So that's why it says that. And there you have it. So Windows 10, the machine that had Microsoft Edge installed, has now been updated using the automatic deployment rule. Now, I did it manually so you can see what it looks like on the client side. Eventually, it'll run another deployment evaluation. Or over time, it'll report back to SCCM and say this is completed. So probably within the hour, this will show compliant. Right now, it just shows downloading, so it hasn't recorded that. It hasn't reported that it's installed yet. So it will eventually, and this will be green because it was successful. There's no issues when I ran the update. So to recap, real quick. So you can see the rule ran successfully. There are no issues in the rule engine log, the log that I showed you earlier. So you can see that when it ran. Now, when you look at the settings, called it Microsoft Edge, and I said create a new software update group. Now at this point I can always go and add it to existing one now if I want to. It's up to you how you want to manage the packages. So it'll create one each. If you use create new, it's going to create a new one each time this rule runs. Or if you want to just add it to the existing one each time. So it's just up to how you want to manage the package. And then, of course, automatically deploy all software updates found by the rule and approve any. So I like using this one. So yeah. So it's just the obvious one to pick. And then you put in your criteria that you want, date and replies, your language, your required. So this way, when you use required one, that means it's only going to grab updates that's required in your environment. Otherwise, it's just going to grab everything regardless if it's required or not. So I prefer to just grab what's required. So proceed no, and then the different and then you can click on preview, and it'll give you a list of what's required right now. Again, you may see more of these depending on your environment, but so there's the criteria that I selected for the Edge. And then the evaluation. So you can say run this rule after any software updates point synchronization. So basically what this means, when you select this, it means that the next time I run a software update sync with WSUS and to pull in new updates, this rule will run right after that, which is probably good to do. That way to grab all the new stuff and then it'll automatically deploy it. So in a large environment, you probably want to select this. For my lab, I just chose the This is why it's doing it at 9/6 at 2:55 is because of this time. So that's why the date showed 9/6/3/25 or something like that. But you can make it, you can customize the rule depending on, once a monthly or weekly or whatever. So it runs on a weekly basis or whatever to get the edge out there. So again, it depends on your schedule and how you want to do this. So again, that's the schedule part. I'm going to leave it to that. And then the language selection, which is English. So obviously I didn't have to, put English in there, but I mean, I'm just showing you options that you can select in the criteria that you want to, pick. And so that's the options that I chose when I created this rule. And then for the deployment settings portion of the rule, I gave it a name, a collection that I'm targeting. So every any machines, and this is a query-based collection that shows any machine with Windows 10 on there will automatically get this rule because of that query-based collection. And then enable this deployment after the rule is run. So basically, they'll run this deployment as soon as the rule is run. And then, of course, only success error, or you can just do only error messages, however you want to, what kind of detail level you want to have. I left it at the default, which is this. The schedule, so depending on how, like every hour or like, a specific time or as soon as possible. So this available time is make this patch available on the server or workstation as soon as it's available. And then you can say, here, make it run at a specific time. So you can do every hour or like once a day or once a week or whatever you want to do. Now you don't want to do it too frequently because there might be a little bit of a load on SCCM, but you can set your schedule to, for the installation deadline. So just make sure you coordinate that with the way you set up the schedule for the rule, for the synchronization, the rule to run. There's two different schedules. One schedule to run the rule and the other schedule to run the deployment. So make sure they closely coincide and you should be fine. And then the user experience, you can do just only show restarts, don't show anything or show everything. And then, if you have a maintenance window on your desktops or work servers or whatever, you can say, hey, just install the update regardless so it gets out there. And then if there's any requires any system restart, you can just run another deployment update evaluation and it'll send that information back to SCCM saying, okay, I'm done. And that's basically it. And that's it in a nutshell. In regards to setting up deployment rules. And you can do this for Patch Tuesday. You can do this for the definition updates like I showed you earlier here. So it's a nice way to get things automatically done, but you still have to make sure that the rules ran. You still have to check the logs. You still got to monitor the process and progress of the deployments. And that's basically it in a nutshell. Again, that's automatic deployment rules. So let me know if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. I'm going to have some more content coming your way. Again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.